Let's think about how anti-Trump the Davos crowd really is right now. I mean, they all hate him, right? It's Europe, for goodness sakes. And there's an anchor from Bloomberg, and she's a European Bloomberg anchor. So I guarantee you, double whammy, she definitely hates Trump. And she went on this stage and she asked all these people, including Christine Lagarde and David Rubenstein, who's a big deal private equity investor, is there any way at all that countries can Trump-proof themselves? Take a listen to what David Rubenstein had to say. I kind of liked him here.
But David, a number of leaders have expressed concern of what Donald Trump in the White House means for fragmentation, for foreign policy. Right. Is there any way that the rest of the world can Trump-proof their economies?
If somebody has a way to do that, I think they should patent it and probably sell it to somebody else. But it'd be very difficult to do. Clearly, the biggest political change that occurred in the United States last year also was unpredictable, or unpredicted, I should say. I don't think anybody outside of the Trump family would have predicted that Donald Trump would be indicted 4 times, 91 counts on various indictments, and that his popularity would soar to the point where he has a reasonably good chance of locking up the Republican nomination by March, which is earlier than almost any contested presidential candidate has been able to lock up the Republican nomination. If he is nominated, it'll be the first time ever that a Republican Party has nominated the same person 3 times in a row. He clearly has a following that many of the analysts missed, and I don't think any of the court cases are likely to change his momentum. So I think people should recognize that he's a serious political force and should not discount the fact that he could well be elected again, despite the fact that many people in Europe, where we are now, are not really his biggest fans. And so
David's right. I mean, I'm laughing about the, you could patent it thing. They'd all be trading that amongst themselves. But you know what? That would be like ESG. I think the stock would go down. Look, I actually think that Trump did a lot of good stuff for the world, for our country. You know that. I mean, I'm a big believer in a lot of the policies. And by the way, you don't have to take my word for it, although I am a policy wonk. You don't have to take my word for it. The CEO of JP Morgan Chase, America's largest bank, which, by the way, just had record earnings, Jamie Dimon, he came out and said, look, you got to stop demonizing half the country. The policies were good, for goodness sakes. Watch him here as the anchors are like, whoa, actually one of the anchors is fine with it. I know him and he's more conservative, but the others are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Jamie Dimon just said that. And he's saying it at Davos of all places, but he's telling them what frankly just needs to be said. Here we go.
We've got this great hand, but when people say MAGA, they're actually looking at people voting for Trump and they think they're voting, and they're basically scapegoating them, that you are like him. But I don't think they're voting for Trump because of his family values. Now, if you look, just take a step back, be honest. He was kind of right about NATO, kind of right about immigration. Mm-hmm. He grew the economy quite well.
China virus.
Tax reform worked. Mm-hmm. He was right about some of China. I don't like what he did.
No, I said China virus.
Yeah, I understand. He may have been right. And I don't like how he said things about Mexico. I don't like, but he wasn't wrong about some of these critical issues. And that's why they're voting for him. And I think people should be a little more respectful of our fellow citizens. And when you guys have people up here, you should always ask the why. Not like it's a binary thing. You're supporting Trump, you're not supporting Trump. Why are you supporting Trump?
It's hard to hate 75 million of your fellow Americans.
I agree.
It's done crazy.
And, the Democrats have done a pretty good job with the deplorables, hugging onto their Bibles and their beer and their guns. I mean, really? Can we just stop that stuff and actually grow up and treat other people with respect and listen to them a little bit? And I do think the economy will affect, and I think this negative talk about MAGA is going to hurt Biden's election campaign.
Yeah. I think so too. I think Jamie's absolutely right. I mean, you have to ask yourself, are the Democrats doing this deliberately? Did they actually want him to win so that Joe Biden would be running against Donald Trump? Did they think that was the strategy? I don't think it's a winning strategy. I think Joe Biden is just a bad candidate no matter what, and Donald Trump can beat him. But why do they so desperately want it to be Donald Trump that is the nominee? I think they do. I mean, I actually do think, otherwise, Why would they just, I mean, they could be that stupid. Think about it. I mean, they keep piling on all these legal challenges. But as David Rubenstein pointed out, and as Jamie Dimon pointed out, like, it's not going anywhere, guys. In fact, you just make him stronger. The more you pile on, the more people say, wow, that could be me. They could target me just like they're targeting Donald Trump. And perhaps they have. Again, accusations we brought you at the start of the show about American banks being told by the feds to look for things like MAGA, Trump, Dick's Sporting Goods. I mean, wow. So I think that the more they go after him from a legal perspective, especially with not much coming up, like they keep trying, and they don't get anywhere. Instead, all we learn is, turns out that dossier was from Hillary Clinton's side. Turns out that laptop actually was Hunter Biden's. And it turns out that, well, that coronavirus looks like it really did come from Wuhan, China, from the lab in Wuhan, China, even though the CIA is still divided on it. Every other three-letter agency says, yeah, it came from the lab. I mean, so you see what's going on. After a while, people are like, whoa. And now they're going after him. They could go after me. They may already be going after me.